Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another amazing episode of E-Commerce Conversations. I hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet from me, David. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah. Excited to have you on as well. I didn't say this before we hit record, but you sell a product that many people have mockingly joked to me that I should produce in the product. Why don't you tell the listeners what the heck you guys do?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Bushbalm Skincare. So we focus on skincare and what we call it Bikini-line skincare. So below the belt products for ingrown hairs, razor burn. And we also have a trimmer for down there. But our primary business is all about skincare, whether it's oils, exfoliants, serums. Even we have a hydrogel mask called the Vajacial, which is quite popular.
You launched just a couple of years ago, right?
Well, we actually launched 2016. Wow. Yeah, a long time ago. So my original background, so I worked, my family business sold hardwood flooring and manufactured like custom wide plank. So that was ages ago. And when I was in university, my dad said, I'd love to do this e-commerce thing and sell hardwood flooring. And I said, you're crazy. Like no one does that. But I did what he said. And I ended up looking at website builders like BigCommerce, Magento, all them. And the only reason we chose Shopify was because we're Canadian. So I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And then 4 years later, I graduated university and I ended up getting a job at Shopify. So 2016 or 2015 is my first year. And at Shopify, me, Tim, my partner, and his wife, Mel, the other partner, started Bushbalm as just kind of a funky idea. So it actually took us like 4 years to actually get traction. So we didn't quit our jobs until actually 2021. So that's kind of when we really got going.
Yeah. I guess Shopify has a pretty good culture of encouraging y'all to do e-commerce as well, because almost everyone I've talked to at Shopify has some kind of side hustle.
Yeah, for sure. Back then it was like even bigger. So like a lot of people started, and we actually started, they had a program called Build a Business. And it was like a competition where they'd give you, it was like $200 each, start your own business. So Bushbalm started out of that. We lost the competition for sure, but like long-term, we're for sure the biggest business to ever come out of that. But yeah, it was funny, but I don't think we had a single sale it was like a 3-month period.
Yeah. Was your growth primarily organic, or were you leaning on like Facebook advertising?
The first like 4 years, we didn't spend really on anything. And we did like an Etsy show, which was really good to talk to people, learn about the product. Like we learned what people wanted to say about us. So when we said pubic oil, people were like, that's disgusting. When we'd say like bush oil, they'd be like, that's not what we want. And then we got more into like skincare things like, oh, do you get waxed? Like you probably have irritation. And they go, oh yeah, totally. So that's where we moved the business. But then, yeah, 2020, 2021, we pushed hard on Facebook ads and learned like a lot more there to scale. So we were super heavy. And then the last year and a half, 2 years, we've more so leaned away from that. But we still spend like $200,000-300,000 just on Facebook at least every month.
Yeah. It is, the name is such a taboo name. Like, do you feel like you get a lot of friction with a name like Bushbalm?
Yeah, we interviewed someone.
No pun intended about the friction, I guess.
Yeah. In the interview, we interviewed someone and they were like, I think you guys should change the name. And we were like, you're not hired. You're not coming here. But yeah, I think what's nice and people we talk to appreciate it because it's like in your face, but also the brand is kind of in your face. You look at our TikTok and all that. So yeah, we do get a little bit of the odd 1 in 100 person is like, oh, that's gross. And then everyone else, the 99 are like, wait, why is it gross? Like everybody has these concerns. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, the name is pretty I don't know, pretty powerful, I think, long term.
Bushbalm in your face so you can put it in the face.
Yeah, we'll have to brainstorm some new taglines.
Work on that a little bit. But I was really interested to do this call because you're exploring getting into bricks and mortar, setting up your own salon. Is that the idea? Walk me through what you're trying to do.
Yeah, there's a few different options. So the business right now, imagine we're about 50% direct to consumer. And then we're say 25%. We sell actually to waxing salons. So we're in about 3,000 doors just through that channel. And then we're in Ulta Beauty, another big retailer, and then obviously like Amazon. But yeah, we're looking to double down in our waxing salon business. And we're not here to build like a hundred waxing salons and be like this huge chain. I kind of saw your model of, yeah, build your own studio. First off, you'll learn more about the products, like how people are using them. And then we've actually been more eager on the content side, which it's obviously one of your greatest strengths. And we don't do much YouTube at all. We do a lot of TikTok, Instagram, but having a space where we could get harder into that is something we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, there's not a lot of times I would recommend getting into bricks and mortar if you have a machine that's operating pretty good. You know, like it's a lot of headaches, it's a lot of complexity, and it's a different business, you know. So like you have right now, it sounds like you have three business models. You have your direct to consumer, you have your small retailers, and then you have your major retailer, you know, Ulta.
Yeah.
So like if your goal is going to be everything ultimately comes down to your goals in life. So like you're going to have far more impact adding on Sephora to your business than anything else. And it's like the amount of energy and effort to add Sephora to your offering is probably pretty small, but you can't just be like, oh yeah, Sephora is now a customer. Like you have
yeah.
But it's like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, like what is the energy to take to find all the relevant people at Sephora, you know, add them. And then other major retailers, you know, I don't know if like a Target or a Walmart would carry it with a name like Bushbalm. Like, I don't know if it has to be kind of more specialty beauty or, you know, have those conversations started or have you gone down that pathway?
Yeah, we've got actually a pretty good path to like long-term growth for like retail and like the next chapters. So yeah, we actually like Ulta was the first domino to fall and like a great domino. Like they're awesome. So we'll be with Ulta probably for at least another year, dedicated, like focusing on making that pretty massive. And what's good about Ulta is the shave section that we're in is basically the same style shave section that you'd find in a CVS, Walgreens, Target, Walmart. So hopefully we can convince them. And I could be wrong, but it feels like 5 years ago, the taboo was so strong that like no one would even be around us because they're like that name, like what you guys focus on, like your assets. Whereas now everyone's like, yeah, like that's cool. Like you guys are funky. Like I think Manscaped, to give them some credit, they actually kind of paved the way for like the taboo to go away for this, especially on the male side. And like I think it translates over to the female side. But yeah, we're working on that. I think the piece we struggle with the most is you have so much control over your content lever. Whereas for us, like we do spend a ton of budget there. So yeah, trying to navigate like how do we take more control over that content lever? Because it's a huge driver for the waxing salon growth, but also Ulta and D2C, like that content actually is pretty killer for us.
Yeah. So walk me through like the content production for you. Like, I guess from an ad perspective, is it all out of house then? And you have to work with agencies to produce it or?
Yeah, we mostly do in-house as far as like getting the content. So working with like we have a couple of people on our team that will connect with waxing salons and like help film content, or we'll do like a photo shoot, video shoot with them and like pay for some sort of it. It's just a ton of like I don't know, it's always like 80% of the stuff doesn't work, but then 20% is really, really good. And in-house, I'm sure it'd be the same. Like 80% probably isn't amazing. But yeah, we're going through that now where it's just to scale everything. The need for so much content nowadays is crazy. The hardest part about Facebook ads, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the challenges is just like when you ask a salon to help you out, you're stopping them from doing their business.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
How do you, like, if you don't mind, like kind of talking the numbers of things, like, do you do it on like a daily rate? So like I'll pay you $1,000 a day and we try to crank out, 10 pieces of content, or like, What's your production look like?
Yeah, there's a few different ways we do it. So actually on our end, we hired an in-house esthetician and she works with us and we pay her. It's basically a really good relationship where she will help us with certain things every week. And that actually has been a great part-time hire because she can plan around it. It's a lot easier. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of it's just the sourcing, talking with them. Like the best thing we've ever done is if they're doing a photo shoot, having a good relationship for them to be like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot. Do you guys want to subsidize like $1,000 of it? And we'll give you this many photos. Whenever that's happened, it's been awesome because they subsidize some of their shoot. We get some photos. It all works out. It's hard to get video content that way, but great photography. And then the other thing we've done a few times, which actually works well, is if people do content and it's great, just like buy it off them and be like, hey, we'd love to use this. We'll pay you this. We think it's a fair rate. And generally they're great on that. But as far as like telling people like, hey, can you do this type of content? It's so hard, I find, to get content that actually fits what you're imagining.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think of in your space, like BK Beauty and what Paul has done. I don't know if you've caught previous episodes with him.
Yeah.
But, they're in the beauty space as well, but with brushes. And his wife, Lisa, is like the primary content creator.
Gotcha.
And then because she's a content creator, it allows her to develop relationships with other creators. And I would say they found a lot of success on TikTok. But TikTok's great because you can find essentially content that is hitting and then that becomes your content. So, they're not in that same kind of like Facebook ad strategy where it's continuously cranking out new content.
Right.
To see what sticks and what doesn't stick. Theirs is more of just kind of like turning things on and then turning it off when they sell out of things. So it's like a completely different problem that most people have. I think, there is a lot of nice aspects as to having our own barbershop and being able to film in there, but there's also downsides to it as well. Like our barbershop's a working barbershop. We have 7 barbers in there.
Oh, wow.
The way we have it set it up is a chair rental. So, we pay the rent and then they rent their chairs and then we ask for them to be open to filming, And,
gotcha.
And the thing I like about that is we have concerns with like copyright takedowns. So the music, being able to control that. Whereas
gotcha.
I would feel bad about coming into a barbershop and being like, hey guys, we got to turn off the music here. And like, kind of like running it like we ran the spot and we don't.
Right.
The downside is like, the barbers make their money from cutting hair. So,
yeah,
when you film, you're essentially like doubling the time it takes to do a haircut. So it's like one less person in there.
Oh.
And you can pay them for that, but it's still in their mind. Like it just kind of gets them out of their flow, gets them out of their rhythm.
Gotcha.
So they don't really view themselves as like, it's kind of just like this weird quasi relationship that we have. And because the way we're set up, they're renting the chairs. There's only so much money you can make, when you charge stuff. So it's not like it's making a lot of money. But the good news is that, kind of, you do have to pay for content anyways. So how are you going to pay for it? At the end of the day, it's probably a wash. But those are the things that I would take into consideration if you open up your own salon is like finding someone who is good at their job and also good at communicating from like an ad perspective. Right. It really is hard to find those people.
Yeah.
It's like I've got some of the best barbers, not just in Austin, but probably in America. But like you want to find the great barbers who can also communicate. And I've got some barbers who are probably the best communicators, but their talents aren't, like the best.
Right.
So it's like, who does better? Like actually the person who communicates better is the one who actually does better. Like it's more enjoyable to listen to and more enjoyable to watch, but their work may not be the best, So it's going to be interesting. Like, how do you find that talent? And then, like if you're just renting chairs and they're not making money, are they going to hop ship? And then like you've kind of built, like, how do you build it where you have consistency of your talent? Or is
it longevity.
So that's why we kind of have like 7 barbers, because there's always going to be some transition. And I feel like these are kind of like creative spaces. And I would imagine like, what are they called? Estheticians?
Estheticians, yeah.
estheticians. And they're probably pretty similar, like mindset. Like there's a bit of an art form to it because they're not just doing like below the belt; they're also doing like eyebrows and facials and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Or
it depends what you get. So actually, a lot of our estheticians we sell to, all they do is waxing. Like just that's it, like full body, but just like bikini lines they do, and it's just day in and day out, kind of the same. So yeah, we're trying to figure out, yeah, if that's like an approachable thing. And I do like what you said about the communication style, because it really probably for us is more about the personality and like it being entertaining and you want to follow along that person's journey instead of it being like the art of doing a lag wax, right? Like some of that video content will be great, but probably building a character, a persona to like build a brand around is probably bigger. And yeah, holy, 7 barbers is quite the shop. I didn't expect it to be that big.
yeah, I got space for one more, so we're trying to get it filled out. And I have like the way I run things is not always conducive to making the most money.
Right.
It's kind of conducive to enjoying the journey, and I have like a no drama rule.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, that can happen in the space. Unfortunately, we've had the barbershop for 3 years, and I think we've had 2 barbers who have kind of left and gone on to their own things,
Right.
but the rest of them have been really stable. And it's either like the barbers between themselves. Well, basically when their seats start to get empty, the drama happens because like
Right.
they're getting less money. They idle hands is what do they call it? Idle hands is the devil's something.
Yeah, yeah. I know that saying, but I don't actually know it.
Yeah, so it's you want to keep them really busy. And fortunately, like for the most part, our barbershop is filled up. And I think from my perspective, like having the barbershop and being able to give our fans like an actual experience. It's like
Right.
Pawn Stars, the TV shows. Like you can
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
go
yeah.
in there and sell stuff and see the people who you're watching on TV. And we deliver that same experience to, our fans on YouTube. So I do think it is kind of special. I don't know how challenging it, like, are you thinking of doing like organic YouTube content or is it all going to be shorts?
Yeah, we're not sure yet. We like one thing for us, like we haven't done long-term content, like YouTube long versions of things. We'd like to do more tutorials, all that education, because the program we have now actually requires it. So either we'll rent a studio separate and do more education that's long form, or we'll film it in this new space. But yeah, a lot of it would be small TikToks, like the ability to film kind of funny content in the studio, stuff like that. But yeah, we're even navigating. Do you just build out this small studio space like a normal solo esthetician would have? And you might not even hire an esthetician full time. You just have someone come in once a month to film content. The one thing for us, we're about to transition office space, and the new office space we're going to transition to in April next year has like the perfect room for a solo studio that has like great lighting. It would be awesome. So we're considering it that way. And we've always gone through the transition of like, oh, we could have like 50, 100, 300 waxing salons. And then you're like, wait, then we just compete with like our clientele. Like we probably don't want to do that either. So it's this kind of balancing act. And you said it earlier, it's like running a new business, which like I'm kind of in the mindset of like, I've got too many businesses within my business already that it's hard to even keep up.
Yeah, when you look at it from the perspective of this is not a salon that I'm going to have and make profitable, but it's a studio
Right.
for me to create content, then it will like kind of affect your decisions. We, kind of the history of us, we started off just by filming in barbershops. So
Right.
you kind of prove feasibility of the interest in the content, that people enjoy the content. And then as that got successful, like the actual studio I'm in right now, this was formerly Bob's barbershop. So he would cut
Okay.
hair here, like during the lockdowns, kind of like hush hush, get people in here and cut. And we would also use it as like a makeshift barbershop. We'd film cutting hair here and stuff like that. And then eventually the lease kind of opened up there, and Bob was like committed. He's like, hey man, let's open up a barbershop and I've got a couple other people I can bring on board. I'm like, all right, well, we'll do that, because it just kind of happened naturally. Like nothing was
Right.
really forced into it. And the channel was making enough money from like ad revenue that we could justify the costs and expenses. Right. And then because I have a no drama rule, we were only 3 barbers for like a good probably year and a half. into there.
Oh, wow.
So it was a lot of empty space in there. And then we brought on 3 additional barbers.
Right.
That kind of came all at once. We got up to 6, and then we just added the 7th. And it's like we've been able to add them slowly where, they're not competing with each other for clients. And
Yeah.
again, like the rule is like no drama for me.
Yeah.
So when that's your rule, you kind of do things, a little bit differently. Like if the rule was to make as much money as possible, then, we might have a completely different business model.
You'd be running a supercuts or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know what you have in the US.
Supercuts, but I mean, really, I think like for a barbershop to make money, they gotta, do like 50-50 splits with the barbers. And then when you do that, you actually don't get the best barbers. So then your quality goes down, so like you want to have an incentive in there to really attract talented people, because when you start to produce this content and I assume you personally don't know like the proper techniques for, you've learned.
Absolutely not. I've seen the techniques, but no idea how to do it. Yeah.
So like when I started Beard Brand, like I had no idea what a fade was. I had no idea like the different hairstyles or how to do like scissor cuts or anything like that. And I still don't personally know how to do it, but having like created so much content, I'm like, okay, well that's a good haircut and that's a bad haircut. And, you start to learn, but your other waxing salons and stuff, they're going to know when someone's not doing something right. And
for sure.
And then your comments are going to be like, why are they doing it this way? Or this is so, unhygienic or da-da-da. And you're like, oh God, like they're right.
Yeah.
Like, so, it's kind of like, as you get more experience in the space and learn more about what the proper techniques are and what actual high performing talent is in that role, like you're taking a little bit of risk by like kind of leaning into somebody. So
gotcha. I was going to ask you actually, have you seen much on your product? Have you learned a lot as far as product development? What's like the best type of product to make for that barbershop channel? And then the other side of it is, have you guys actually tapped into the barber channel to grow that out in many ways as like a wholesale channel for you guys?
Yeah. So barbers want something different than what clients want. So that's the important part in understanding like what your product is and who the ultimate customer is. Because like barbers, like their goal is to get as many people in the chair as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible. So they may want something that like sets super quickly, or maybe they want something that doesn't set as quickly because it gives them more time to kind of have control over the hairstyle, whereas the customer wants the product they just throw in and go in their door. So it's like, kind of understanding how the product's being used. It is nice for me, like, to have the barbershop, because I'll grab a new fragrance prototype, and then I'll just go to the barbershop and I'll get all the barbers to smell it, give me feedback, and then I'll give it to all the people sitting in their chair. I'll be like, all right, what do you think? So it's like right there, instantly I can get, like 17 people's feedback on different fragrances. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to waste my time with this one. I'm going to go here, here, and there. Might be hard for you to do if people have their pants down. You can't like just go like busting down doors and saying like, hey.
For sure.
But we do, like right now, we're kind of handling some like manufacturing changes. So we have some prototypes in there that they're testing, and they're like, oh, I like this one, I don't like this one. And it is nice to be able to get that feedback really quickly.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking anyways, just like understand like how they use the product, what it looks like, even just talking with more folks. Yeah, interesting. And then the barber channel, have you guys tapped much into it? Or is the barber channel more like through distributors as a marketing? Like you'd have to go through distributors to get into more barber shops?
Yeah, so from my perspective, barbers, they make money by cutting hair and trimming beards. They don't have the mindset to make money by selling products.
Right.
So building out a channel of barber shops and stylists to carry our products is going to be a lot of work, and it's not going to move the kind of volume that we could move by focusing on Facebook ads or Amazon and as a channel. So we will accept wholesale clients, and we have like a second storefront that we just point them to. So it's like we don't have a team of people who's calling up barbershops trying to get, we're not trying to grow that footprint. If they want to carry our products, we'll do it. But at the end of the day, my concern is we sell products. Our products have a shelf life to it as I'm sure yours do too. And then they sit on the shelf, they get dusty. They're not, presented in the way we presented, or, the barbers and the stylists don't know how to use them properly. The education's not there. Right. So it's like to properly handle that channel, I feel like there's a lot of education that needs to go involved. And if not all the retailers are excited or know about your product, then it's probably not. I wouldn't put my resources into that channel before I felt like I fully tapped out on D2C. Like everything kind of comes down to me is like D2C first, and then that starts with .com first, and then from there Amazon, and then maybe like Walmart marketplaces, and then from there it would be like major retailers, because you could have one person who's probably handling Ulta and Target, and they could probably handle like 3 accounts each. So that person is going to cost $75K a year to handle, like multi-million
like $4 million, $5 million in revenue. Yeah.
So it's
it's a different model.
Yeah. So unless you that is the niche you're going after, I would target that last. I would not fuck around.
Yeah, I get that reaction all the time. And somehow we built this thing on this professional channel, which is it's just crazy. But waxing salons are probably a lot different because the need is a lot stronger for the product, right? You don't need a hair gel. Yeah. You kind of want a ingrown hair oil immediately when you leave. So it's a lot easier that way. But yeah, the channels, the education, signage, all that stuff, you really need to dive into it a bit. And we're still figuring out honestly how to do it, because we're in year 2 of this professional channel. And the reason we got really into it was naturally people were we'd like to sell your product. And then iOS changes, Facebook changes, and this channel just actually seemed like an easy win for us, which for most people, not a easy win at all. And yeah, right now we've got 3,000 accounts, and we have 1 salesperson and 1 account manager.
Yeah.
So it's super efficient lead. It's very automated. People are happy with us. We do a lot of content through it. And our thing too is, I don't know how many, I imagine your competition is super strong for barbershops, because there's tons of distributors, probably products that have been around a long time. Whereas our channels, it's almost not many people are focused on it. So people are eager to find something that works, something that's new. And it's weird, waxing, there's no distributors for it either. So it's very niche, very different, very one-off. So you don't have that kind of worry that a hair salon for sure would be a distributor that sells Aveda or whatever, those other Revlon or all those different companies. So yeah, the channel's been kind of nuts. And it's our TAM that I love to say is, in the US, there's actually 10 times more waxing and nail salons than there are Starbucks.
Wow.
So there's 300, I think it's 330,000, which is just mind blowing.
I like how you say it's nuts. The jokes write themselves. I would say what you just said is to me, business 101, go wherever something is easy and build it out. So if it's been really hard to do Facebook ads or, online sales, but it's been super easy to build, these salons and the professional channel, then lean into that. And then whatever you need to do to help support that channel grow, because you said it's making up about 0.25%.
Yeah, it's close to that now. It's 20-25% in that ballpark. Yeah. And if you put it in perspective, D2C 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, it was 95% of the business. And now it's 50%. So it's still growing, but we're growing way more on this professional channel. And then also on Ulta, retail. Ulta's doing really, really well as well. Yeah, most of it's we're in probably the right section. I think that's the thing that people miss with retail is if you're in the right section and people are thinking about you in that section, that's huge. So we're with all the shape razors, and above the razors, there's skincare. So typically before you'd see a razor and that's it. And maybe there's shave cream. But now people see a razor and they go, oh, there's skincare for this too. And then they grab it. Whereas if you're just a general skincare brand in the skincare section, you have a lot of competition to compete against, because it's everything is skincare. What do I buy?
Yeah.
Whereas we're one of the only brands in the skincare section of shaving. So I think that's been pretty huge. And then the other piece too is on our website, we've got this like probably the biggest before and after library of any brand like in our space, almost most skincare brands in general. So that's like huge. And then actually the waxing salon, esthetician, we do a lot of content around that. So people, I think, see us in Ulta and then they think, oh, this brand's also like professionally backed, which is what they want to buy. So I think it's a mixture of things, but we don't do many ads like direct to Ulta. We typically do just D2C ads that kind of feed awareness around Ulta, but they also could buy in our D2C or maybe they buy on Amazon. So it all kind of circles together. And I think the one thing that's cool too is anytime someone sees our D2C content that's a waxer, a lot of times they're like, oh, they sell to waxing salons and I relate to this content. But then a D2C customer also goes, oh, like I get waxed. This like relates to me too. So our content kind of doubles to get us new accounts, but also like get us D2C sales.
Yeah.
Which is that's like probably a pretty cool part about like what we're running.
Just a lot of bang for the buck with your ads.
Yeah.
And you don't worry about that attribution and tracking it and all that. It's just
we try our best. The retail side of it, it's like it's so hard. Because even when we run Facebook ads directly to Ulta.com, we don't get sales data for a week. It's every Monday morning at like 8 a.m. we get sales data. So you could run Facebook ads on a new launch and have no idea if they're working. You just see like click-through rate, that's it. And then the week later you go, oh, like it did really well. But at the same time, you don't know if it was like your ads that did it or like you sent an email or what. So yeah, retail's been super tricky to understand like what works, what doesn't work. That's probably our biggest challenge right now is attribution for retail. And like we want to give our best effort to Ulta. So it's like, how do you figure out how to get like a significant sales volume through Ulta? Whereas the other channels, we're pretty good to build them. We've bootstrapped to date. So staying like diligent on what's working, what's not has been huge. And like, I'm sure you would say, like everyone says, like iOS, it was super hard for all of us, I'm sure. But I think now it's actually made a lot of businesses that are much stronger from it because we're all probably more diligent about how we spend our money, how we do things, how we operate, which I appreciate. But yeah, with retail, it's you really gotta. It's tough. It's tough to figure out what's good, what's bad.
Yeah. Well, kind of like wrapping up my thoughts on your salon. It sounds like you've got, like you said, you have that perfect room. I would lean in towards, like using that room. Maybe it's not a working salon. It's a studio for you, and then, continuing to find that right esthetician who maybe you can bring in part-time, like once a week or a couple times a week and pay them for their time. And then they have a book of clients that kind of do the rest of the week. And then that might give you a little more flexibility if that personality doesn't really mesh well in the early days. You can kind of like transition it and then just build it up from there, depending on how it goes. So it seems like you're moving in the right direction.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm excited to kind of take content into our own hands a little bit here. And it's, I would say like test small. So I think we'd test with just the studio, film a video, and then maybe bring someone on maybe a month or two after that. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Where can people buy your product, support you, find you?
We are sold obviously on our D2C sites, Amazon, if you need it real quick. On Ulta, we're in about 1,010 stores. So almost all of them. Soon we'll be in every store. And then the best place I always say to buy is if you go to our website, go to our stockist, and that's where you'll find like those local waxing salons. So we have, like about 3,000. So generally speaking, you'll have like one near you. And I always say to go there because that really is supporting like a solo esthetician, like a small business owner, like a solo entrepreneur. So yeah, we always try to support our local estheticians. So I'd say go there first or see if one's close by.
What's your website? What's your URL?
Oh yeah, bushbalm.com.
Bushbalm.com?
Yeah, it even flows off the top of your tongue. Bushbalm.com.
Sweet. Great, man. David, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as much as I did. Bricks and mortar can be a fun addition to e-commerce, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it. So I'm glad you came on here and kind of opened up your thought process on it. As always, this has been another Ecommerce Conversations. Cheers. Keep on growing.